I've been in real estate for just about 5 years now, but there's one thing that has been more frustrating than anything else, and that's the fluff and exaggeration that a ton of real estate agents and brokers have as far as what they actually make and what it actually costs to run a real estate team. What's up guys, it's McKeown back again with another video this week. To be honest with you, this is a video I've been wanting to make for quite some time now. The reason is because having been in the real estate industry for enough time now, I've started to see, and this has been really for the past couple years, I've started to see a lot of people that flaunt how much they've sold or just said, oh, they're a millionaire, they've made $1 million this year. Well, caveat here, they may have made $1 million, but at the end of the day, what is their total net? Now, the real estate industry can be a very lucrative business. Now, me personally, I can be honest with you, being a solo agent and just having one assistant or a transaction coordinator is a highly profitable model. It's a model that I ran for a couple years, but I do have and I will have a continued desire to build a real estate team, and that's actually what I'm doing now. Now, one of the biggest statistics in the real estate industry is 93%. Now, if you're a real estate broker or agent, you probably know what I'm referring to when I say 93%. Now, 93% is the amount of real estate agents that actually fail within their first 2 years. Now, this is a statistic that is easily traceable because as a realtor, you have to renew your license every 2 years. The amount of people that renew their license from their initial getting of their license to 2 years later renewing it for the first time, unfortunately, is only about 7%. 7% of the people that get their license renew it after their first 2 years. So there's a huge failure rate to start with. Now, a huge failure rate in that 2 years can often lead to people trying to fluff or boast what their successes are, when in reality, they're not really succeeding. To give you guys some examples, I'm gonna actually run through my business and what it cost me to run my local real estate team in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So first things first is my personal salary. My real estate team, or KMAC Realty Group, is the S-Corp election that sends a salary to McKeown. Now, McKeown gets a salary of about $250,000 a year, which honestly, after 5 years in real estate is good, but there's definitely a higher salary opportunity out there for people. Now, I've definitely put in a ton of work to be able to earn that salary, but $250,000, I can tell you right away, half of that is absolutely not even seen in my bank account. And you may ask why? It's this thing called the IRS. Unfortunately and fortunately, I have a financial advisor where I really set aside half of my salary to pay for taxes at the end of the year. So really what I do is I withhold half of my salary to accommodate the extra income that I'm generating, and then the other half is actually what's distributed and paid and seen in my account. So the next expensive thing on the list is going to be employees. Now, employees are a vital portion of a real estate business. I can tell you there's absolutely no way someone can grow a real estate business without having additional employees as well as additional staff to help. My most expensive position is a business manager. Now, this is someone that's going to essentially be an extension of me and be able to hold my team accountable, as well as be an individual that oversees my team and just is able to run the team from start to finish when I'm out running around, showing homes and scheduling appointments. Then you add on a full-time videographer, a full-time editor, a full-time in-house TC and assistant, and my personal transaction coordinator that's remote. You're talking about a substantial amount paid just for salaries. So with those 4 employees, I'm paying well over $165,000 for payroll. Then you add in the additional $250,000 for myself, I'm paying close to $415,000 just for payroll, and that's just to run my company. Now, to add to that, currently I'm spending about $1,500 a month for a small, I think this is maybe, 10 by 18 room, and it's definitely not enough for 8 to 10 people. I've recently purchased a commercial building that we will be moving into here shortly, so my cost per month of rent will turn from $1,500 a month for rent to about $4,500 to close to $5,000 a month for my mortgage cost. Now, if you add $5,000 a month, that's an additional $60,000 in expenses. Now, the next thing that is quite substantial in terms of annual cost is about $3,000 a month, and that's for professional coaching through the Tom Ferry organization. I personally am coached every other week, and the agents on my team are professionally coached every single week through Tom Ferry. So again, an additional $36,000 in coaching, and I do also provide value in terms of leads for the agents on my team. With the 3 agents on my team, I'm paying about $60,000 in ad spend for leads. These leads are obviously getting returned and closed for the agents on my team, which then inherently is going to make me more money, but it's an additional cost of $60,000 annually that I'm spending. Now, there are miscellaneous travel expenses as well as just business expenses. Before I filmed this video, we were talking about potentially buying some real estate t-shirts for the team. These are all going to eventually add up over the course of the year, especially, for instance, I just bought lunch for the team. We have weekly meetings for our team that ran about $250. If you do the math, $250 times 52 weeks in a year, it's an additional expense that certainly adds up. So using just a rough $25,000 to $30,000 note for that, that's an additional clump of expense that cost me to run my real estate team. Now, the last big expense that I have, I do contribute fully, and this is the reason why I have a $250,000 salary, so I can fully fund my SEP IRA. With my financial advisor, for me to be able to save a good chunk on taxes, KMAC Realty Group actually funds and maxes out Casey McKeown's SEP IRA annually, so that money is directly given to me. I can't touch it until I retire technically, but it's money that's invested on behalf of my real estate team to my personal individual self. So when all is said and done, I'm making about $125,000 salary, plus about $50,000 to $60,000 put towards my retirement every single year. So absolutely no complaint whatsoever, especially having come from a profession where I was only making about $50,000 to $55,000 a year with a master's degree teaching high school mathematics. And last but not least, the individual that has been costing me money the longest, but I can tell you single-handedly, she is the reason for my growth. Back at the end of 2018, I added a personal transaction coordinator, which allowed me to grow really from doing 35 deals a year to the last 2 years I've done north of 70 deals. So she's allowed me to basically double my production. Now, she's my personal remote transaction coordinator, and she runs me about $25,000 a year. So guys, yes, running a real estate team is insanely expensive. Insanely expensive in a way where, yes, I could eliminate a lot of those expenses. I could, go ahead and fire half of my staff or all of my staff and just be a solo agent, just crushing it with my transaction coordinator that runs me about $25,000 a year. But again, it goes back to what I just said. I would be making between $300,000 to $350,000 a year, plus all the expenses that I would otherwise have, and my total net would still be far less than what I'm likely going to wind up with building a team. Now, fast forward to 2021, I wound up making about $760,000. My 1099 from my real estate company just came in, and I'm going to file taxes. The good thing is I put all of that money aside, so my taxes are already paid, but I still got to file them. Now, if you add all of that up, you're looking at $683,000 in terms of total expenses. So really, my company annually is only making about $75,000 a year in profit. Now, this may be good profit, this may be not good profit. It's very hard to tell in the real estate industry. There's a lot of people that are basically over under every single year. They have far too many expenses and not enough profit at all. The fact that my company is actually making money speaks volumes in itself, especially the fact that I still can salary myself a substantial salary and still profit $75,000. But the biggest issue is, yes, I made $750,000 just from real estate and the income from real estate. That doesn't include my rental properties and all the other sources of income that I have. It sounds nice, but at the end of the day, I'm not taking home $750,000. My business and to run my business costs money. And to be honest with you guys, a lot of this stems from a lot of TikToks that get made. There's this trend where people like to say, oh, look what I made in January. Look what I made in July. I had a $60,000 August. Well, that's great. I've had a $100,000 month, but that doesn't mean I'm making $1.2 million and rolling around in a bunch of cash. It means, I had a tremendous month, and that month is going to probably cover a couple months of my expenses, but I'm going to put it in my account and make sure I'm covered for one of those dry months, one of those months where I'm I'm not able to close as many deals as I have in this particular month. Again, guys, the intent with my channel is transparency. I'm obviously doing fairly well when it comes to rental properties. My rental properties in the DFW area have appreciated tremendously, allowing me to snowball into commercial investments and expensive short-term rentals. But on the real estate side of things, it's not always what it seems. And for me personally, I'd rather just show you guys truly what's behind the scenes and what it's like to own a business, rather than saying, oh guys, you want to know what I made this year? I made over $1 million this year. Isn't that incredible? I used to make 50 and now I make over $1 million. Well, sure, I made over $1 million when you combine all of my income, but I have over $600,000 in expenses when it comes to the real estate business side of things. And I have tons of mortgages that I pay every single month to cover the income that I'm generating from all the rental income from my rental properties. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make a full-fledged video when I actually file my taxes and run through every single thing in terms of the nitty-gritty details and actually how I wound up in 2021. But I did wanna make this video first and foremost just to give you guys a glimpse of just what it's really like and what it costs to run a real estate team, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be running a team, I wouldn't be orchestrating and growing a team in the local area if it wasn't for revenue share with the brokerage that I'm at. The revenue share opportunity of growing the company and collecting passive income off the agents underneath me is a huge reason why I'm even building a team. Now, to give you an idea of the $760,000 that I made last year, $200 alone was passive income off of the revenue share opportunity at Real Broker. That is the current brokerage that I'm at, and I'm continuing to grow that. I'm hoping to be closer to the $400,000 to $500,000 this year in passive income. But again, without that, I would have no desire to grow a team. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit clearer picture of what it's like running a real estate team. You don't have to have $600,000 in expenses to start in real estate. I can tell you right now, just get your real estate license and see if you're successful on your own. I'm 5 years in the making, and I've started to earn more income over time and leverage myself by hiring employees to be able to do stuff that I don't have time for. When additional agents are going to earn me future income because of the work that they're putting in. Again, I only have 24 hours in my day, so bringing on additional agents onto the team, it's going to cost me more. It's going to cost me in leads. It's going to cost me in employees and salary. It's going to cost me in business expense when it comes to a commercial office. But the only reason I'm bringing on agents is because the income that I'm going to generate off of them makes sense for the amount that I'm spending. Now again, guys, stay tuned for a more detailed version of this video when I finally file my taxes for 2021 to give you an idea just how much I paid the lovely IRS, as well as how much I'm fully netting with KMAC Realty Group and how much I fully netted on my personal income. So stay tuned for that. But again, I appreciate your guys' support. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help, and stay tuned for the next video.